All right. Can I request you all to say sadhu to start the discussion session?
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katame panagubbo gautama dhamma bhavita bahuli kata vijja vimukting paripurente. Sattat ko kundaliya bujjanga bhavita bahuli kata vijja vimukting paripurente. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Dear friends in the Dhamma, today is 29th of April 2025. We have come to another session of this weekly mindfulness practice, and this particular sutta from which I have extracted the verse I just recited is Kundaliya, and we have been discussing that for quite some time, and most of the things you should be able to remember now. So it is a discussion between the Blessed One and a wanderer called Kundaliya. And he asked, why are you wearing robes and why are you wearing this life? And then the Blessed One says, the particular stanza I just recited. What he says is, he says, I'm living this life for the fruit and the benefit of true knowledge and liberation. Then he's asking straight away, what should I do to get there? Then he says 7 factors of enlightenment. To get 7 factors of enlightenment, 4 foundations of mindfulness. For 4 foundations of mindfulness, 3 kinds of good conduct. For 3 kinds of good conduct, sense restraint is required. So we have, after that was told, then Buddha started telling him how he does it. Then he goes on the from bottom, starting from sense restraint and how that gets developed to 3 kinds of good conduct, and how 3 kinds of good conduct gets developed to 4 foundations of mindfulness, how 4 foundations of mindfulness lead to 7 factors of enlightenment. So in those stages, and there is one very clear thing that the Blessed One is mentioning. That is, he says, in each of those instances, it should be bhavita bahulikata. Bhavita bahulikata means the particular state you are in when you practice it, and when you practice it for long time. Bahulikata means it's doing it for so many times, having so much of effort. So when you hear that, you said, oh, we won't be able to do that then forever. No, it's not the case. If you do it diligently, and the time that is taken will be very much less. It can be done, Buddha says, in 7 days. In the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, it can be done even in 7 years. So, I mean, we can add, if you want, another 10 years. So we can do it at least in a lifetime. So, therefore, in that, what is important is bhavita bahulikata. So when you bhavita means you use it, you practice it, you apply it. Bahulikata means you keep on applying in a consistent and constant and very energetic way, with lot of vigor, with lot of urgency in the practice. So when you do that for sense restraint, and that will develop 3 kinds of good conduct. When you do bhavita bahuli kata for 3 kinds of good conduct, it will develop 4 foundations of mindfulness. When you bhavita bahuli kata, 4 foundations of mindfulness, it will develop 7 factors of enlightenment. When you bhavita bahuli kata, 7 factors of enlightenment, then it will go to the final result, benefit and fruit of true knowledge and liberation. So that is the meaning of the particular stanza I just chanted. So we have discussed all the previous ones. So if I just remind you the 7 factors of enlightenment that we finished last week. In the 7 factors of enlightenment, Buddha is mentioning once the completion, the climax, the culmination of the 4 foundations of mindfulness takes place, he will develop the factor of enlightenment called sati. And then he will develop the factor of enlightenment called Dhammavichaya. Then after Dhammavichaya, you will have the factor of enlightenment called Virya, and then Piti, then Passaddhi, and then Samadhi, and then Upekka. The English terms are mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, energy, rapture or happiness, calm or calmness, concentration, and equanimity. So these are the 7 factors of enlightenment, and they will be the product of maintaining, practicing 4 foundations of mindfulness as a way of living. So every moment you will have your attention to the body or to the feelings or to the mind or to the phenomena that is taking place in a cyclical manner. So in that, when you do it, you will be having very steady mindfulness. That steady mindfulness is what is called mindfulness as a factor for enlightenment. And then that, because you have the attention in that manner, directly diverted towards yourself, to your physical and mental process, you will start seeing the nitty-gritty of it, how deep you can go to the physicality, how deep you can go to the mentality. And seeing that is what is called Dhammavichaya. And when you allow those Dhammavichaya to arise, that if you allow it because you are happy seeing these deeper layers, which are sometimes very difficult to observe, very difficult to see, and they are sometimes giving you a lot of suffering and sometimes giving you a lot of unpleasant sensation. But if you go through them, and it will finally turn into, if you do that, that will develop a lot of energy in going through these difficult areas. And when you go through those difficult areas, that energy is called virya, or energy factor for enlightenment. Since you have that energy, and since you have gone through these very minute layers of the physical and mental process, you will not be hooked up in anything. You will not be clinging to anything. You will be getting detached from your physical and mental process. When you are detached from your physical and mental process, you start developing happiness. And that happiness is what we call piti, as a factor for enlightenment. And happiness, when you master, when it comes to its culmination, that will generate the calmness. The happiness in the mind will gradually generate the calmness in the physical and mental process. And that calmness directed towards physical and mental process will be unaffected by other variables around the environment, in the environment. So not that the things are not there in the environment, they are there in the environment. Not that you you are detached from them per se, but you are not affected by them. They are there, but you don't go and poke your fingers. You don't go and hook them, or you don't identify yourself with them as well. So basically, you are learning the art of being away from things. So that gives you internal settled state, which we call concentration. And that develops when you have calmness. And having such concentration will gradually lead to developing equanimity, because when you are concentrated, you are, as I said earlier, you, although the other variables, other factors are there in the environment when you practice or when you live, you don't get affected by them. That is because although they are very demanding, although they are powerful, you have the skill, you have the mindset not to get involved in them, engage with them. So that provides equanimity. You can have a balanced mind, equipoised mind. So when you keep on doing these things, each of these things will be developed to the extent that the next one will be developed. So culmination of sati will lead to Dhammavichaya, culmination of Dhammavichaya will lead to Virya, culmination of Virya will lead to Piti, culmination of Piti will lead to Passaddhi, which is calmness, and culmination of that will lead to concentration or Samadhi, and culmination of that will lead to Upekha, all as factors for enlightenment. So the funny thing is, once you develop, you will see that these are also not permanent. These also keep changing. They come, stay, disappear. They come, stay, and disappear. Even equanimity. We think that equanimity is a stay, that once you are equanimous, once you have a balanced mind, that you will have it forever. No, even that, you lose that. And then if you are worrying about the fact that the equanimity is lost, then you are not equanimous. So you should lose equanimity in order to see how equanimous you are. So therefore, it comes to culmination, and it also becomes part of phenomena. So once again, it is in the four foundations of mindfulness. Everything keeps changing. So today's topic is, if everything keeps changing, how is it going to liberation? So the Buddha says, applying, which means bhavita of 7 factors of enlightenment, and doing it numerous times, innumerable number of times, with urgency, becomes bahulikata. And when you do that, and you will start gaining the benefit and fruit of true knowledge and the liberation. So this is our topic today. So when we get to this stage, now you have cleared one thing. Now you don't have any suspicion. You don't have any perplexity about what the path is. You have very clearly identified and applied and practiced the path of the Buddha. That is why you develop 7 factors of enlightenment. If you are not on the path of the Buddha, forget about it. You will not develop 7 factors of enlightenment. So for you to have the 7 factors of enlightenment, the prime important requirement is to keep the mindfulness to the fore, as the body, taking the body as the focal point. So that only will lead to the 7 factors of enlightenment. So once it is led to 7 factors of enlightenment, we call, you have purified you have overcome the perplexity. And that overcoming, purity in overcoming the perplexity leads to the purity of knowledge and vision. So when it leads to the knowledge and vision, then you have the opportunity to liberate yourself. So when this is happening in the practice, you are not loving or hating the object, meditation object. So may it be breath, may it be sound, may it be visual objects, may it be smell, anything. You don't care, you don't give a damn. You will be simply observing, and you will have the attitude and the ability not to be engaged in them. So therefore you don't either love or hate. So this is because you know the art of keeping the mindfulness to the fore. So when that is happening, in the Buddhist books, they say you gradually gain full understanding. That gaining of full understanding is developed in 3 stages, and we call them parinya, full understanding, or special understanding, special discernment you will get. So the 3 full understandings are, first one is full understanding as the known, which we call jnata parinya. The second one is full understanding of the investigation, which we call, or judging, which we call thirana parinya. The third one is full understanding of the abandoning, which we call pahana parinya. So when you come to this stage of enlightenment or stage of liberation, or seeing exactly what the path is, this second one is very important, which is Tirana Parinya. So before coming on to the second one, I will just give you an idea of what the first one is, which is the full understanding as the known. So what it means is that you have very clearly seen the general characteristics of the object, or any object that comes to your attention. That is your initial practice. When your initial practice is developing with the breath, or maybe with the pain, or maybe with the thoughts, or maybe any of the aggregates that you have, form, feelings, perceptions, mental volitions, and consciousness, you have the very clear and thorough understanding of their general characteristics. What do you mean by general characteristics is, now we are saying when you walk, you see what sort of sensation you get. When you observe the breath, we ask you to see what sort of sensation you get in the in-breath and out-breath. And then we ask you to see, when you observe it over time, what happens to it, and whether it gradually start reducing, and things like that. So seeing those general characteristics, if you say my in-breath is cool, out-breath is warm, that's a general characteristic. If you say while walking, when I place the foot, I feel it's hard, and when I lift it, I feel that hardness gradually reduces, or depending on the surface you're walking. And or if you say, when I'm walking initially, I can observe that I'm placing the heel, and then the arch edge, and then the pillow area of the foot, and then the toes. And you see that in the right leg as well as the left leg. And then you say, not only that, when I'm walking, this not only placing and lifting is there, I also observe that there are two other stages, which is after lifting, you move it and then you lower it down as well. So those are the general characteristics. And having this understanding, this general characteristics is the jnata parinya. And when you have more and more and more of general characteristics, you will gather full knowledge, full understanding of the general characteristics. So once you understand, or when you keep on seeing the general characteristics, then it comes to tirana parinya, which is the full understanding as a judgment or as an investigation rather. And what happens there is the understanding of general characteristics turns into something else, which is you start seeing the general characteristics of the impermanent. You see the general characteristics of the non-self. You see the general characteristics of the suffering. How you see that is, when you see that the breath is gradually fading away, that is an indication that the breath does not stay at the same length, in the same hardness or softness. It does not stay in the same speed, and everything of the breath is changing. So you start seeing this impermanent nature of the breath. That's the general characteristics. And that is why we do it for not 5 minutes. You do it for 1 hour when we practice. When you longer you practice, you start gradually seeing this. But seeing is not sufficient. And you will have to understand that this gives me a different message. Because before Buddha, also they saw that this is gradually reducing, but they did not see that as impermanent. And they said something is impermanent, but this thing is not impermanent. Say, for example, before Buddha, there was a situation where if they see the breath, and they say breath is permanent, but the sensual life is impermanent. And there have been also people who have been observing the breath and who have been able to observe the breath until it completely disappears. And they are able to keep on their practice without being able to perceive the breath. Not that the breath is not there, but they don't perceive the breath. So when that happens, they say, not having breath is permanent. I will repeat that. They say not having breath is permanent, but having breath is impermanent and the sensual world is impermanent. So like that, before Buddha, they always made what they know permanent, and what they didn't, what they have gone through, what they have passed as impermanent. So therefore, they did not have the full understanding as investigation or as judging. But when you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you get the message that these are not permanent, because you keep observing. You don't, in mindfulness, what we do is, we have choiceless awareness. We have suspended decision. We have non-judgmental attention. So because of these qualities in mindfulness, you are not going to say anything permanent or impermanent. You are not going to judge anything. But you receive the message. The message that you receive is, this is not under my control, which is non-self. This is not permanent. It keeps changing. It completely fades away, and after some time it comes up as well. and you see this impermanent nature. And when you see this impermanent nature, and if you let it happen over and over again, and if you don't get involved, if you don't get panic, if you don't suspect, and if you don't get afraid, and if you don't get fearful, then it is gradually getting established in your mind. So therefore, you will gradually understand you will gradually have the full understanding of Tirana Parinya, which is full understanding of this deep investigation of the reality. And once it is done over and over again Bhavita Bahuli Kata, then you go to Pahana Parinya, which is not discussed at this stage. This Tirana Parinya is the most important thing when you in the path, when you are in the path, when you have cleared your perplexity or the doubtfulness, right? So when this understanding happens, full understanding of the investigation or the judgment gets settled in your mind, there are a lot of challenges to it. The challenges that come before those situations are called imperfections, or in Pali we call it upaklesha. There is a separate discourse on upaklesha, which we discussed in the Brisbane retreat last year. And also these upakleshas or the imperfections are given in another book in Buddhism, which we call Path of Purification or Path to Purification, something like that, which we call Visuddhimagga. In that, they have mentioned 10 of them. They say Obasa, Jnana, Piti, Sukha, Passaddhi, Adimokka, and then Paggahita Virya, Upattita Satya, and Upekha and Nikanti. So these are the 10 upakleshas or the imperfections that you will have when it comes to Tirana Parinya, because the mind will not allow you to accept that it is impermanent. It will somehow come and give you some idea, some thought, some perception to understanding or to accepting the nature of impermanence. So these are not very strong defilements, but they are good enough to delay and sometimes derail completely. And Obhasa means stage of illumination. So when you practice, especially at the beginning, and sometimes even towards the end, you get this lot of illuminations. And someone called me this morning, and he was talking about a lot of illuminated objects that are coming. And he was talking about coming of the third eye. So all these things can happen. But what you will have to do is, you will have to understand that it is a defilement. So therefore, if such illuminations come, what you will have to do is, when defilements come, you don't do anything. You simply say, I am aware. That's all. You don't fight with them. You just be mindful of them as well. And when your practice is developing again, your mind will come and say, your practice is developing so much, and you have already seen impermanence, you have already seen non-self, you have already seen suffering, and you are already equanimous, and you are almost about to gain arahantship or become a stream winner, and all sorts of ideas will give. A lot of knowledge will come, and it will come in a way that you are so convinced as well. They are coming as friends, but real enemies. They are coming in a way that you will not be able to really see them as defilements. They will be, you may understand it as not upaklesha, not imperfections, but you will understand them as a real Dhamma. So therefore, you have got to be very careful. Similarly, the rapture that we discussed, although it is a factor for enlightenment, sometimes people get hooked up in it. And this is what happened to before Buddha most of the time. Preeti as well as Sukha, the tranquility. And they get really obsessed with it. And they are so tranquil with whatever the state they have achieved in the practice. So they don't bother to keep observing. They just immerse with it. They become absorbed by it. And once it is absorbed, you are hooked up into imperfections. So therefore, the Blessed One says, at this stage, these imperfections are coming and will try to disturb you or derail your practice. And the other one is adhimokka, which we call resolution into mundane qualities. So adhimokka means it's a situation going beyond rapture and tranquility. It's so much away from the sensual world, you are completely resolved into the spiritual world, spiritual qualities. So once it happens, there is no way of coming back. This is what happened to who ascetic Asita. Ascetic Asita is the person who said this particular, after the Blessed One was not the Blessed One, the Buddha to be was born when he was just 7 days old. Ascetic Asita said, this particular prince is going to be Buddha, and he is going to teach the way how people can come out of suffering. But I am unable to hear that Dhamma because I am so much involved in this particular state I have already gained in my practice. So he cried after that. So therefore, if you get so much resolved into mundane qualities, that also become a disturbance, a hindrance, or barrier in the path. So they are imperfections. So when they come, all what you will have to do is simply be aware. And then the next one is Paggahita Virya, which means excessive energy, excessive exertion. When you have excessive exertion and you will keep practicing day, night, morning, eating, drinking, urinating, defecating, everything you will try to be mindful. And you will exert a lot of energy. And you may be walking in very cold weather outside. You may be walking in rain, and when you observe the object, you will try to divide the object into the tiniest particle possible and will try to observe. And in that manner, you agitate your mind so much. And that you may see is a very good thing that has to be done in the practice. But Buddha says, if you should have energy, but it has to be a balanced energy. And if the energy becomes excessive, then you don't come into the middle path. The next one is Upatittita Satya. Upatittita Satya means you are going to have a rigid mindfulness, rigid assurance that I will never be unmindful. And again, because of the excessive exertion, you try yourself to be mindful for each and everything. So I heard, I was involved in a discussion with North American monks. They have a fortnightly discussion, and they discussed today a discourse called Kitagiri. And in that Kitagiri, one of the monks was saying that once you attain Arahant, there is no need to be mindful. So I haven't verified that, I haven't checked that, but it makes sense. If you are an Arahant and if you have come out of all the detachment, so you can just live freely. And if you try to be mindful, for each and everything, then it becomes a headache, because mindfulness is also, after all, a mental volition. So you will be pressurizing yourself to do things. But having said that, you should not get lethargic as well. Saying, okay, I'm balancing my mindfulness, and okay, let things happen, I will sleep, and what to do? No, that is not the way. So initially you will have to practice, and once the practice is developed, and once you become an arhat, yes, you can relax. Until such time, there is no relaxation. But what Buddha did was, although he has mentioned, I haven't checked that, once again I'm telling, although Buddha has said this, he himself practiced after becoming Buddha. So that way, he has set the example. These things are there, but just because you have attained, you will have to live the life that others will follow. So therefore, you can't say, I'm balancing mindfulness and okay, it is enough now, it is enough 1 hour, it is enough once a month, it is enough, not doing retreats because I'm mindful generally. Those things are nonsense. So the next imperfection is equanimity. And equanimity means you think you are equanimous. Because your practice, when the practice is developing, you think you are equanimous. And this happened to me. I was a bit of a hot-tempered person. Even now, don't worry. And there was a time I was feeling I don't get angry as much. So I was thinking, okay, I have developed sufficient equanimity. But one day, when I was with my friends and someone said something, and I went mad and then started screaming till the roof blew away. So much of screaming. And then I knew I have got to work once again. And then I was tightening my mindfulness. And then again, I felt, okay, now I am equanimous enough. And I overestimated it. And then once again with my friends, a similar thing happened. So everyone started laughing at me. Everyone was saying, I was teaching them as well. Everyone is saying, now the teacher is getting derailed. He himself is not mindful. And then it was, again, a huge overestimation on my part, thinking that I was equanimous. And then since then, I always underestimate the achievements. So when you underestimate the achievements, you always will keep the mindfulness to the fore. So as soon as, not that you don't get derailed, as soon as you get derailed and you take the wrong turn, then it will trigger quickly. But if you think that you are equanimous and overestimate, then you relax yourself and then you get trapped into the cunningness of the mind. And the next imperfection is magnetic attachment. We call it nikanti. Nikanti means sometimes your practice developed into a state, and that state becomes so attractive, and you just get absorbed into it and simply be with that, and you try to be with that, and you don't do it purposely, and it grabs you to that state, and you may feel like you are going to that state as if you are going in an escalator. You feel, as soon as you sit, gradually you go to that state and you have no control over it. So even when that happens, and if you become so much elated about it, then it becomes also an imperfection. So these imperfections will come and disturb your path and disturb your tirana parinya, which means full understanding of the investigation. They will try to make you think that it is self, or that it is permanent, or that it is not the path, right? So, but somehow or other, if you keep the mindfulness to the fore, all this will come, but you will go through them. Once you go through them, then your path is ready. So once the path is ready, the Buddha says, you start seeing Dhamma. You start seeing the reality. And that there are 9 stages in seeing the reality. The 9 stages are, the first one, they say knowledge of rise and fall, and then the knowledge of dissolution, knowledge of appearance as terror, knowledge of danger, knowledge of dispassion, knowledge of desire for deliverance, knowledge of reflection, knowledge of equanimity and equanimity of formations, and conformity knowledge. So these are the 9 stage in which, now since you have definitely decided that this is the path, and then the path to liberation is having 9 stages. So these 9 stages, over time, will be taking you to the liberation. So if you take the first one, knowledge of rise and fall, Buddha has mentioned this in all the 4 foundations for body mindfulness or mindfulness in the body. There are 14 methods, 14 techniques. And in all the 14 techniques, Buddha is saying, Samudaya Dhammanupassiva Viharati, Vaya Dhammanupassiva Viharati, Samudaya Vaya Dhammanupassiva Viharati. In all the 14. And the feelings, also he says the same thing. That is so far as the feeling is concerned. And in the mind, also he says the same thing. That is so far as the mind is concerned. And in phenomena, also I think there are 4 or 5. And even there, he is saying the same thing. So no matter where, what you will see is when you bring your attention to the object, mind, body, or phenomena, when your attention is brought, all what you see is, it won't stay permanent. The breath will disappear, and then it will be, there will have a situation where there is no breath sometimes for some people, or some people may feel very sleepy, or they may feel that they had a situation, they didn't know anything, or they went to an empty space, whatever. And then they say, and once again the breath appears. So like that, these cycles will happen. So when they see these cycles are happening, they always see it goes and comes up, it goes and comes up, it goes and comes up, maybe in all the 4 foundations. So initially, you will not be paying much attention to the loss of it. Initially, you will talk about it's coming up, coming up, coming up. So you will continue to observe, and you will continue to pay more attraction and affection, although the words may not be precise to explain it. You will see the appearance, the rise, the samudaya. That is because of the craving that you have to have it. But that's a nature. And when you keep on observing that, since the disappearance is also happening, you start also noticing not only that it appears, it fades away as well. And then you will, in your report, you will be paying more emphasis to it disappears after some time. And also such people says, they are able to see that the number of cycles are increasing. That the number of cycles are increasing because the disappearance becomes faster. The fall becomes faster. And also some people are able to see roughly the lengths of the cycles, whether the lengths of the cycles are reducing. So if the lengths of the cycles are reducing, and if the disappearance is happening faster and the frequency is high, then he's noticing more fall than the rise. So then his attention is going not only to samudaya, but vaya. Vaya means fall, depreciate, fading away. So once then you start seeing both. It appears and disappears, appears and disappears. And when appears and disappears, it will be a stage where you will be able to clearly see appearance and disappearance, especially when it is happening cyclically. But when you become closer and closer, the cycles become shorter, and the cycles become shorter, and the frequency becomes higher, and you will not be able to see whether it is appearing or disappearing. You will observe fast appearance and disappearance, fast appearance and disappearance, high intensity appearance and disappearance. Maybe in your body, maybe in your feelings, maybe in your mind, maybe in the phenomena. Everything you don't simply have control. You simply become a spectator. Everything is going at a speed faster than the light. And when you observe that in that manner, you feel, some people feel that the body is like a boiling water pot, or body is like, um, you know, how do I say? Hopefully, you have seen the cooking, rice cooking. When the water is boiling, it starts bubbling up. It's like that. Or you may feel like when the water drops are falling onto a pond, it bubbles up. So like that, you may feel the body is always moving. It has vibrations. It has uh, very slight movements. Kampana, chanchala. Kampana is vibration. Chanchala means shaking all the time. You may feel that your body is like a beehive, and the bees are always, buzzing, and they don't sleep. So like that, you may feel maybe in the mind, or maybe in the body, maybe in the feelings, whatever. And then when you specially feel that in the body, you may feel that you are so anxious. You may feel that you have high blood pressure, like you may feel that something is wrong with you. Everything is moving so fast. And it is worse when you feel that in the mind, you feel that uh, everything is moving so fast, and all what you see is that you can't do anything, because you become so upset. Why the hell I became, sorry, mindful? And if I was not, when I was not mindful, my life was so peaceful. Now so many things are coming and happening and operating in my mind. How do I handle this? So that is because the appearance and disappearance has become so fast, so far as the mind is concerned. So what Buddha says is, it happens when you really thin slice the time and the space. You gradually start seeing these things, and seeing these things is called rise and fall. Um, uh, Seeing, or the experience of rise and fall, right? So having the experience of rise and fall is not a knowledge. That's a key thing. Because even before Buddha, they had this rise and fall experiences. And this rise and fall experiences, when it happens, it is so attractive. And you have a huge, initially you may be a bit shocked. You may open your eyes and you may get up and go. But over time, when you keep on observing, you become more and more attracted to it, and you become more and more addicted to it, and then it becomes a massaging effect. So if you have that experience, if you become attached to it, attracted to it, then that experience does not become a knowledge, because you are attracted by it. Or if you become scared of it, again, you have the experience, but you don't have the knowledge. If you become panic about it, it's the same thing. If you start suspecting what happens, these things cannot happen when you practice. When you practice, a limousine made of gold should come, and two angels should come out and put me into the back seat, and they should drive me to nirvana. This is what we think when we are practicing. But you can't have this, unsettled body, unsettled mind. And in that manner, if you suspect what is happening, then you have the experience, but bad luck, you don't get the knowledge. So therefore, to get the knowledge, when you have the experience, although you become scared at the beginning, although you become suspicious at the beginning, you discuss about it to your teacher. And once the teacher, hopefully your teacher is a mindfulness teacher, if the teacher is explaining this is what is going on, you just keep it up. And if you put your balanced effort to continue the practice and overcome it and be mindful of it, then you will gradually stop suspecting, gradually overcome the fear of it, and gradually get detached from it when you become mindful, and then it becomes a knowledge. So having experience alone is not the knowledge. Having experience alone, you are not on the path. So you will get hooked up. When you have this experience may lead to imperfections. So therefore, when you see this nature rise and fall, for that to become not just the experience, knowledge, so it says, jnana darshan. You have the experience, and this experience is also a knowledge. So in today's world, what I have seen is, most of people, when they have that experience, they keep telling everybody. They put a YouTube and explaining what was going on, and then it goes everywhere, and it becomes viral. When that happens, what it has done is, he has had the experience but not the knowledge. Once you have the experience, when it is become a knowledge, if you become mindful, you should get detached from it. Not that you don't teach, you are teaching in a way that it should be taught. You will not be telling, oh, this is happening, that is happening, and do this way, do that way. So if you say that, and you will be, maybe you are not helping people, instead otherwise. So therefore, having the experience and making it a knowledge are two different things. So when you have this rise and fall situation, what you generally now understanding is the impermanence. Impermanence of what? Impermanence of the five aggregates, that is form, feelings, etc. Because we are observing ourselves. So ourselves is nothing but the five aggregate. So when you talk about impermanence, there are characteristics of impermanence. The characteristics of impermanence, as mentioned in the subject itself, in the heading itself, rise and fall is a characteristic. And also the change is also a characteristic of impermanence. When I say change, as I mentioned earlier, when I was explaining something else, this gradual fading away of breath is a change. And when you keep walking, it comes to a stage that you are unable to observe the heel, edge of the arch and the pillow, and that you can't observe it, and the walking happens naturally, automatically. It goes to autopilot mode. So when that happens, it's a change. So that's the characteristics of impermanence. And the other characteristics of impermanence are appearance and disappearance. So far as the thoughts are concerned, they don't rise and fall. It appears and disappears. Sometimes some images appear and disappear. Sometimes lights appear and disappear. So those are impermanence characteristics. And also it becomes sense and then nonsense as well. You sometimes you are able to see things properly and everything becomes very clear. Sometimes everything is becomes so jumbled. You go mad. What the heck is happening? Especially when it comes to thoughts. And even sometimes the body, when you see initially the intensity of the body, you really become mad. What is going on in my body? And so therefore it goes to sense and nonsense and no sense scenarios, when it becomes orderly and disorderly, and all these things are characteristics of impermanence. But when we practice, we are seeing all these things, but we never put that in the impermanent basket. When you put that in the impermanent basket, all what you do is keep observing. You don't think that it is impermanent. You can think, but it becomes thinking rather than observation. So if you observe, what you simply accept is the impermanent nature. So that is why we should not do anything but accept as it is, no matter what happens. Completely the object that you are observing completely will disappear, and observe it. And then you become really sleepy, you observe it, and you become so dull and so boring, you observe it. So everything changes. There is nothing stays permanent. So that observation gradually turns you into a person who is accepting these characteristics of impermanence. So Buddha says these characteristics of impermanence, we don't identify, or we can't identify, because we don't see it as impermanence. We don't allow it to happen. We are asking, why can't we do it this way? Especially when it comes to pain, we keep changing our posture. When we keep changing our posture, you don't allow the impermanence of the feelings to happen. And also, we don't see the impermanence because the impermanence, the flux nature is the impermanent. So you don't see this flux nature because we see the whole. We try to see the whole breath. We try to see the pain. But instead, if you see when it becomes changed, when it becomes disorderly, when it becomes disappearing, then you are able to see beyond the whole. So because of that notion we have in our mind that there is an animal, that there is a person, that there is me, then there is no opportunity, although you have seen the impermanence, to accept impermanence. This is what happened before Buddha. To avoid that, only Buddha said, keep the mindfulness to the fore. He came to the world not to teach us mindfulness, but to take us away from the defilements that may be arisen after practicing mindfulness. So this is exactly what he is doing here. So I think this talk has added some light and understand what a wonderful path, what wonderful message, what a wonderful technique that the Buddha has left us, and which is still at work in full swing after 2,600 years. And be humbly proud that you are part of that community, that you have got this message. So be happy and be mindful until we meet next time to continue the Udaya Vaya Jnana, blessings of the Triple Gem.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good. Everyone Saranai. Okay, now if there is anything to talk, now is the time.
Everyone saranai.
Everyone Saranai. What happened to you?
Yeah, like I got rostered like Tuesday nights, like for almost like 2 months now.
Right.
I finally got a Tuesday off, so I was
Good,
like, we have time.
Good.
Yeah, so it should be, I should start getting morning shifts from now on Tuesdays. Yeah, but it was really hard.
Great.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't got the chance to provide a report for a while. So,
Hmm.
like with my practice, I think with my walking practice, I like slowly forgot about focusing on the object. This started happening lately, and I started focusing more on like just being present. Just started focusing on being rather than because my object was like just my foot, but like even in my seated practice, I was always getting very restless trying to like focus on the object. So I started focusing on just being, and eventually I started being more and more still, like started being very it felt like things just stopped moving and I was just there. And because I don't know, the whole time I was getting frustrated about like trying to focus on the object. And I think the same approach like started like continuing throughout the day. So I was always just telling myself, oh, just be, and throughout the day, and I was just there, and like I wasn't trying to like be mindful. I was just there. Like it was like a full like transition of like trying to do something and then as compared to just being there. And things started feeling more and more calm. Things started feeling more still, and my restlessness. I was very restless over the years, and that like significantly reduced. And outside the practice, especially in the last like couple months, like things felt like they went really quick as well. Like I felt like I experienced different. The best way to explain it is like I experienced different like seasons. So it was like good times, bad times. I experienced like different sides of people. I felt like it was everything was like moving very quick. I was like experiencing like different sides of people. I pretty much felt like I was in like some kind of like a TV show, and I was just experiencing different episodes or something. And but yeah, that's about it. I mostly just wanted to bring out the observation about like just being rather than trying to focus on the object. Just trying to make sure I'm doing that right. Yeah, that'd be all fine.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that is right, because now you yourself has done the practice. This is what I have been telling basically every day. So what you will have to do is you will have to choicelessly observe the present moment of yourself, right? So when your object fades away, and if you have a subtler situation, you should not make it gross by doing things intentionally. By trying to focus on the object, what happens is subtler things becomes gross. So that naturally creates stress, naturally creates frustration, naturally creates restless. So it is good that you do it and learn the hard way. Then it becomes your experience. So, and that is the only way that you will learn. And all of us, although our teachers are saying this, keep the mindfulness to the fore, keep the mindfulness to the fore, keep the mindfulness to the fore, we don't do it. Why we don't do is because not that we don't understand it, not that we don't want to do it, but this is done by our mind. Our mind is having a different agenda. And therefore, mind wants always try to focus on something and be with something and hold on to something. And the beauty of mindfulness is, although the mind is doing that, mindfulness will gradually show you at some point when your mindfulness matures. This is stressful, this is frustrating, this is troublesome, this is restless. So you just give up everything. So you have given up with your experience and you just be. And that is a way forward, and becomes still and calm. But I am going to give you a caution even there. Hopefully you may have pick that up from today's talk,
Mm.
these situations, these calm, still, tranquil, blissful situations are too beautiful. So when you see a beautiful girl, you can naturally get attracted. So even here, although the mind is not now going behind girls, mind will go behind these beauties.
Mm.
So you'll have to be careful. If it goes, doesn't matter. You just remind yourself, I am aware. There is no point being, there is no problem being in the present moment and being still and being calm. When it comes to your consciousness that you're calm, you just simply tell yourself, give a certificate to yourself saying, yes, I am aware. So keep that reminded while you are there, keep that reminder to yourself. So you will become mindful to the state you are in. So then there is no danger. I mean, even if there is danger because there is discussion and the Buddha's teaching is there, we definitely can come out. And you have come out a long way, and it's going well. And so far as the other things are concerned that you mentioned, now you are working and involved more with the society, and then you see both the sides of everything. I mean, you are mentioning only two sides, but in towards the end, you were saying more than two sides. You are saying good and bad people and different sides of people. So seeing these things happen because your observation and because your what do you call um sensitivity is high. Since you don't react to things, you start seeing both the sides. So seeing both the sides and accepting both the sides and accepting all the sides is the way to be neutral, is the way that mindfulness matures. That is the way that we detach ourselves from clinging. When we are clinging, we says, I want only good people, no bad people. For myself, I want only this side of me, not the other side. For other people, I want that side of that people, but not this side. And when you see these different stories and different things, different facets, different shapes and manners of the events and people, it becomes a drama. So that is what you said at the end. It's like when you live in the society, it's a drama. So you just watch the drama. Don't try to act in the drama. So that is how you learn non-self. That is how you learn impermanence. That is how the practice path of the I'm sorry, messing it up. Progress of the path happens. So good on you. Keep it up. Teruvan Saranai. Next.
Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai. Are you safe to start with?
Yes.
Good.
Is the roof also strong or safe? Roof
Right.
above your head.
Yeah, it is very strong.
Okay, then I can then I can talk.
So you're going to test me now, right? Keep it up.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So like my question, it might be like 2 or 3 questions in a conversation that I have. I don't know. I'm just going to talk about it. When we observe our life, like me or my neighbor, my friend, my father, like basically everyone, we live in the past. Our thought pattern, our ambition, our fears, our pleasures, like they are repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating every day, every day, every day. And this is how we live in a way of acting and reacting, acting and reacting, acting and react. Am I making sense so far?
Very much sensible. Yeah.
And this is the way. And even when we are, let's say, aware of some problem, we still decide from that field of confusion, from that field of fear, and we are going to fall into another pattern and it's still a pattern, and it's still a pattern, still the way of the mind, the way of the brain. And we have this huge knowledge that we gather from the past, from our experiences, our relationships, the books we read, so many stuff. And all this, the mind, it's very occupied, very, very, very occupied in a very subtlest ways. And yeah. I mean, therefore, even if we sometimes try to decide, it's again, the decision comes from all the things that I mentioned: loneliness, fears, etc. And even if I want to like achieve something, whether I want to be like achieve enlightenment, achieve being a doctor, achieve being a famous man, it's, you know, it's still the same pattern, the same thing. And this knowledge, I think, prevent us from seeing reality, true reality, not my reality, not my ideas, not my interpretation of what is, not what I like to happen. And you know, even when you are talking, I'm going to throw my ideas between your talks and my listening. It's a barrier, and I'm going to even adjust what you are saying in order to fit me. And it can be so subtle that you don't understand. I mean, like you don't understand. Like even I'm going to listen to you as long as it's a pleasure to listen. It fits me, not the reality. And my question is, with all this, can such a mind, can such a brain listen? Can such a brain see the reality, not the idea of the present moment, not the idea of what is? Is it possible to step away and see the danger of this knowledge, this barrier, and then observe, you know, observe. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so You haven't asked a question, you have given an answer. Does it make sense?
It makes sense, but
Because
still,
yeah, but now give me some time to listen, explain it to you. To give me some time to talk, and if you have any questions after that, just keep a note of it, and then I'll give you an opportunity to talk about your counter questions. And the things that you have mentioned about living in the past, ambitions, fears, loneliness, emotions, and these things are getting repeated. And it's, one action leads to the another action, and that becomes a reaction. And then again, it leads to another action, and this cycle is going on. And with that cyclical happening only, we try to solve all our problems. And then the mind is so busy with this nonsense that is going on. And also you mentioned that enlightenment is also something in the same process. It's something also in the same ambition. And you very nicely put that when the talk is going on, and when you try to listen to the talk and grasp what the talk is giving you, instead the mind is not quiet, mind is interpreting what you are hearing. You have this happens because you have an answer to the question that you are asking. The question is, can such a brain or the mind see the reality? This is the reality. The reality is the mess. The reality is that we don't have control. Reality is become sense to become nonsense. So you mentioned that there is no orderly manner. It's a flux, and it completely happens in a different way than we accept. It's a completely, as Tanuka mentioned earlier, it's a drama that we are seeing. And when you see that, you have developed the skill to see the reality. But the question is, our mind is not allowing us to accept that as the reality. Mind is trying to find a refuge to build its empire once again. But if you accept this as this is what the mindfulness does. This is what happens when you come to the moment, and in the moment this mess is there. I'm accepting the mess because I have developed my attention to that extent. So, therefore, the present moment is not an idea. The present moment, in the present moment, there is no idea. There is no noun. In the present moment, you have only verbs. Things are happening so fast. And those things are happening fast in the most chaotic manner, in a most disorderly manner, in a most unsystematic manner. And seeing that, to see that, your neighbors and some of your siblings, some of your friends will not be able to do because they are part of that drama. But now you are not in the drama, you are out of the drama, you watch the drama. So therefore, you, in your question, you have the answer to the question, or rather the information that you have given is the answer to the question that you are asking. So it's the barrier is what the mind is suggesting. When the reality is being shown, mind is trying to say that it is not the reality. Don't accept it. No, that is the reality. So if you accept that as the reality, then there is no barrier with the new knowledge that you are gaining. Now, this is the real knowledge. The knowledge that we have from the past and from the schools and from education system, they are not knowledge, they are nonsense. Now you have the real knowledge. So therefore, that is why I started saying, you have an answer and a question. So now over to you, if you have any counter questions or counter points.
No, I understood what you are saying. If I understand correctly, you saying that by seeing this, seeing what is happening, the thing that you just called it a mess, it's a step forward.
Yeah,
That
it's exactly. It's now you are
yeah,
seeing the impermanence. You are seeing the non.
yeah.
So the mind is so
Mhm.
addicted to suffering. Mind is to create suffering out of that as well. So
Yeah.
you'll have to tell the mind fly a kite.
Thank you.
Everyone Saranai.
Thank you.
Everyone Saranai. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? So if we don't have anything else, are you good? Yes. We can chant the stanzas, and I will give it to someone in Zoom if it is okay. And can I give it to Tanuka? Because you came after a long time, so I will have to celebrate.
Yeah, sure. It's been a while.
So let me go to the right page. Yeah, so we have had a nice discussion about mindfulness, and we listened to a talk about the true knowledge, how we get the true knowledge in the path, and then we practice ourselves most importantly. With that, a lot of positive energies have been developed. So we will share these positive energies with the rest of the beings who are able to absorb these energies in the universe. So over to you, Tanuka.
May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practiced well, the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
So, Tiruvan Sarana, everybody for joining, and see
Everyone
you
say
next
Asana.
time.
Sarvam Saranai.
Tiruvan Saranai.
Sarana.
Tiruvan Saranai.